Can I just say something that's absolutely, like, makes me die now? I was convinced that Charlie's sister was a ghost. I was convinced!
Hi, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Daniel.
Me and Daniel have just finished watching the new Netflix series, Heartstopper. I really enjoyed it. We both really enjoyed it. I know for you, though, it had some more complex feelings that you wanted to talk about.
I feel as though I've been on a bit of a weird kind of journey of my own emotions watching this show. First of all, it's set in a UK school, which is our experience. We grew up in the UK and went to a British school, and I felt like they captured so well that feeling of being young and being at a school in the UK. They didn't overly Americanize the experience to make it more glossy and classic to Netflix in that way. You know, when you see shows like Riverdale, where all the teenagers seem very old.
Or Sex Education, again, where the teenagers feel very overly mature, and it's very Americanized in that way as well.
Something as simple as the scene where Charlie's being dropped off at Harry's birthday party, and his dad is dropping him off and telling him when he's going to pick him up, and you get to see that side of, these are children that have parameters as children. They should do because they're young, but they are also going through their own complex human experience at school.
And because it's grounded in that way and feels realistic, I think that's why people are able to make the comparison more easily with their own experience at school, which I think is why when you looked online that you saw so many people corroborating the way that you felt about the series, the sort of the complicated way you felt about it. Which made you sort of more compelled to say
absolutely,
to talk about it.
Absolutely. So first of all, it's important to say I don't feel conflicted about the show because they did anything in a bad way. I think it's because they did such a good job. They did such a good job. You know, when someone's sending for you on Twitter and you know it's about you, they did such a good job that it felt very personal, and I was brought back mentally to that space of being at school. And I felt like something I saw a lot of people commenting on, which I identify with, is this feeling of sadness when you see a story like this playing out, a young love story like this, and you feel like you've missed that. You can't get that feeling back. You can't get that time back of that coming of age romantic story where you meet maybe you meet the not so good boyfriend, or you meet that perfect boyfriend, and there's butterflies there and it's reciprocated. So you feel as though you've missed that, and there's a sadness attached to that for some reason.
Yeah.
So watching the show, definitely, I felt like something that really they got me, gal. Something that got me was how kind Nick was all the time, even in his own conflict.
Yeah,
how kind he continued to be, and as much as he was never mean to him, you know, the way that he was dealing with it felt hurtful to Charlie sometimes.
Had negative effects and impacts, but it wasn't coming from a malicious place like his previous relationship.
So if you come out at school, that was never my experience. I didn't come out at school. I came out pretty much after college, so I waited till I was completely out of formal education and then came
college
out.
For us being turning 18, like the sixth form, the higher education.
I don't know to what degree that does isolate you at school. You know, you feel like you need to retreat to the art room or go somewhere private. But it is my experience at school of that stereotypical having friends that were girls.
Yeah.
We would retreat to a room to play card games or talk, or just, you know, be a little bit more private. So there was some sort of conditioning of, I don't want to be out there with everyone else because I start to feel a little bit exposed in that environment. Whereas you had, you know, quite a diverse
I felt like I was part of that dynamic, but also had more male friends, and we would hang out during lunchtimes as well. Maybe we were more outgoing.
It comes with being at ease with yourself when you are able to be friends with everyone.
I think the experience of a lot of younger people, and I think you, just from my experience of, I was there, we're twins, so we were in the same class, that there's almost an unspoken thing going on where there's an understanding from people around you because of your interests being different and the way that you present, that you feel in some way people are cottoning on to the way that you are, but that goes unspoken in a way.
Yeah, I felt like I was betraying myself all the time with my genuine interests. So we all have those stereotypes of what you think that the gay kids at school are doing. They're dancing. I was dancing all the time. They like music sometimes. I was very involved with music. I didn't really ever get a part in the play for anyone to identify me as being a big musical person. So you have those tropes that you feel like you're playing into, and therefore you're betraying yourself, you're revealing yourself, and there's this sense of embarrassment all the time. Like, my personality is too exuberant, people are going to know. The way I just squealed just then, because as you can see on this channel, every time something excites me, I'm like, ah, you know. And you go home and think, oh, did I embarrass myself today? Did people think, oh my, like, people know, and they're not saying anything, but they know, and that's humiliating.
That for me is what got me a lot of times, sort of, you know, just because I love Daniel, we're twins, we're so close. That to see, despite the fact that it wasn't a clean break, they didn't have the easiest time of it, people were still mean, and the level of bullying in this show is really interesting as well. The guy, I forget his name, Harry is the bully, he did it in this realistic way where he didn't even self-identify as being homophobic.
Not at all.
But the comments that were being made is so realistic to the way that people can be. But the thing that kind of kept getting to me was despite all of that, still having the community around them and the opportunity to be fully themselves, and the bravery that was going on. It made that, for me, broke my heart slightly about the experience that you had at school where you couldn't fully be yourself.
This could be my perception, people can correct me if you're watching this and you're at school now, or you've very recently left, but I don't think it would be as socially acceptable to have being gay be such a quick part of your catalogue of insults that you would throw at someone, or that you would highlight someone as being weird for that. So there is this sense when you're at school of, that person seems gay, so I'm going to avoid at all costs being associated with them. In a way, I can understand the thought process of Charlie's first interactions with a boy, which is Ben, but I don't relate in any way to his behaviour or the way that he treated other people. But I have experienced that feeling of someone else who is gay not liking me and making a point of making a big deal how they don't like me, if you know what I'm talking about. Every opportunity to say, he can't sing, you know, he can't dance, he can't do this, he can't do that. And you think, why is this person being quite vicious towards me all the time? Like, there's an uncomfortability. You're revealing something in me that I don't want other people to see.
And clearly, so like you say with the Ben character, there's clearly some truth to the way that he was behaving, because it is self-preservation. It is completely trying to put yourself at the other end of the spectrum to the person that you don't want to be associated with, because it's something you don't want to be caught.
There is this feeling of a community of people, a queer kind of, you know, or queer adjacent community of people. You've got Tara and her girlfriend, you've got Elle, you know, you've got people who are of a similar-ish experience, who are supportive of each other, and you feel safe talking, whereas it felt like a completely heterosexual world that I was just living in at school. It didn't feel like there was any clear sign, and we went to a Catholic school, perhaps that had something to do with it, I'm not sure, but it didn't feel like there was any kind of acknowledgement that gay people really even existed.
No, and to the point of how quick people were to use gay as an insult, that would happen all the time in class, quite audibly, and I never heard a teacher intervene and say, don't say that, don't shout, don't be rude. That would be as accepted by the teacher in that class as it's saying someone's an idiot. They'd let that slide, and they would let that slide as well.
The teacher, who obviously relates to Charlie and therefore gives him slack and allows him. I didn't even have that representation as a teacher, and like there's a teacher who's gay and that's all right, and everyone respects him and he's walking around.
No.
So there's lots of different things in this show that are amazing, like to see. Like is it healing to watch that? I'm not sure. I feel like in a way you want it for everyone else, and then you feel sad that you didn't have it for yourself.
You were saying it was quite a powerful feeling of sort of sadness about it. Is it just that feeling of loss that you're describing, of what could have been?
I suppose so, and I suppose that it makes you feel like it denies you that feeling of having access to romance and feeling like romance is for you, and you're gonna have a loving romantic experience. And even now you feel that way. So when I look back at this show and I see them doing things that are awkward and they're being brave, and I'm thinking, oh, don't do that. Like there's a part of me that goes, don't do that, it's embarrassing. But I really, I'm loving seeing it, and I want them to, and I think it's amazing. But there's this internal part, is that internalized homophobia? Who knows? That makes you go, oh, don't do that, it's embarrassing. I don't. Or when you see a flamboyant child that reminds you of how you were flamboyant, and you think, is this what people thought of me? Is everyone looking at him weird? Is he going to be all right? That sort of feeling. Oh no. Okay.
Well, I feel like although there were the negative sides of their experience, that the way that they were bullied on occasion, I feel as though the show made me feel quite safe that they were it was going to turn out okay. They weren't doing all of the stereotypical pitfalls of gay relationships, of making it overly dangerous, and
that's what you grew up with. That's what you saw. The only time you saw someone gay is on a soap where they were in danger. They were going to get beaten up. Someone was going to get attacked. Someone was going to get found out and disowned, or someone's cheating on someone because they got married and they're actually gay. And so it's all negative. It's all like scary, negative. Oh no!
I found the whole thing really, really sweet. I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was brilliant. The way that they handled the maturity level of the relationship. I mean, although it wasn't overly mature, as we're saying, it didn't feel unrealistic.
It didn't feel too mature.
Nick as a character was spectacularly brave, and you just really admire him as a person.
Definitely.
And Charlie as well.
And we were saying, he's like, how does he know how to kind of pull that kind of little handsome kid face, like, he's like pulling this, but I'm like, he is that heartthrobby character when you're at school that you think, the one who plays rugby or whatever, that you think, oh my god, he's so handsome. Oh my god, he's so, I nice just think, to everyone.
I think romance and rom-coms and things like this can be quite intoxicating if you watch the right film. But I think the thing is that we're so used to seeing heterosexual couples that I personally am desensitized to seeing the sort of romance and relationship that I would aspire to being shown on television. And like any drug, you get desensitized. The more you see something, the less impact, less powerful it is. And I think the fact that a show like this is so rare means that the impact it has on people like you who haven't had the experience of seeing this sort of relationship play out makes that drug so much more powerful. And I think that's maybe why people are having such a strong reaction to it.
Definitely. It's an example of what could have been for a lot of people, and it's an example of what you hope is true for someone. Because let's be real, not everyone at school, not you didn't have a romance at school.
I was going to say, well, that wasn't my life.
So the unfortunate truth with Charlie and Ben's relationship, the original interactions that they had, is that when you are dealing with a situation that you can't talk openly about, you are left vulnerable as a child or as a young person to letting things go a bit left and becoming uncomfortable for you, and you can't say to someone, this person's making me uncomfortable. I've had minimal experience with that, with maybe one person at school messaging me and being quite brash, for lack of a better word, and making me feel uncomfortable, but I can't explain why to someone this person's making me uncomfortable without feeling, again, like you're revealing yourself. You're saying, this person's talking to me. Well, why would they be talking to you, this boy? Why would he be talking to you? You've done something wrong, because a boy shouldn't be talking to you anyway. And just again to reiterate, my family wouldn't have said that, but that's how you feel. That's definitely worth remembering when you make it difficult for children to talk about, and you say they're too young to talk about that, or you're leaving them vulnerable to everything that you're meant to be protecting them from, because you're not allowing them to be open and honest. And it's hard enough when you are being supportive for them to be honest with you. Is there anything we've missed on this journey, Matt? Anything else that stuck out to you?
During the rugby game where he walks off, and to be honest, like, oh, I'm not going to come out. You just walked off the rugby field and grabbed the hand of Charlie and walked off to the changing room.
Yeah, but that wasn't an official statement, was it?
No, it's not an official statement. But
was so romantic. I could die. I could absolutely die right now.
And that's the situation I think you're talking about, where you go, don't do that, but then like part of you sort of
absolutely do it, but like you feel sick. Yeah. I'm very interested in reading now the story, looking at the story in its original form.
It had such a sort of specific character to the story, the way they told it, the animations and stuff. I felt like it had a real specific point of view, which obviously relates back to the comic books, which must be good source material, because the show itself is great.
Absolutely. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed our open discussion about this. It's not, we haven't come to any real conclusion.
This isn't any sort of journalistic telling of the story, more just relating it back to your experience primarily, but just, I guess, both of us.
Can I just say something that's absolutely, like, makes me die now? I was convinced that Charlie's sister was a ghost. I was convinced, because the way that she would emerge into the scenes, I convinced you, the way she would emerge into the scenes and talk, and it almost like she would disappear, and she didn't have any influence on anyone else in the story. No one else seemed to look at her or see her and go, oh, how are you doing today? And
now you're describing it again.
It sounds like she's a ghost again.
And now I feel even more like she's a ghost.
I honestly, I've not Googled this. I thought she was a ghost, and I thought this is a traumatic past experience that you know, and this is going to come out in the story that she's like, he lost his sister and she's a ghost. Is she a ghost? I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe. We're going to try and do more things like this. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers currently. Thank you so much to everyone who already is subscribing to our channel. If you are new to us, we do all sorts of different things. We eat food, we watch music, and that could be fun. Couldn't it, Matt?
It might be a bit of fun.
Bit of a laugh.
So stick with us. We'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
Bye.